This is Hallicrafters Rehabs. Welcome back. Today we're going to address a long-standing problem in the shack, RF noise. And as you can suspect, there's a lot of it with this modem and the wireless, and we got printers over here, and plus this is a house full of RF noise. And I have a little detector here, an Eton E1. Sounds really rough. This is at 3300 kilohertz, which is, from experience, I know is one of the worst areas in the band, high frequency band. As you can see, there's just every kind of noise source, switching power supplies, DC power supplies, all, and ground loops, double ground loops, triple sow cows, and everything else in here. So, the first thing we have to do is put in an RF ground, a true RF ground, instead of having everything go through the power system ground. This is the cable I'm going to use. It's not the thickest cable, but it will be adequate, I think. And we'll run it from here all the way back to where the entrance of the antenna comes into the house. That means I have to go under the house. And we'll see if I'm still capable of doing that at my very, very advanced age. So I did manage to get under the house and get back out of the house in one piece. But it was a bit like caving. And what a mess I was when I got out of the house. Now that cable I showed you did not stretch all the way. It was 30 feet, and yet there was still more to go. So I did a bonding. Let's see if I can do the light here. Anyway, I did a bonding of the cable right here. There we go. To another, this one is insulated, but it's also a multi-stranded copper wire. And I plunked down a lot of money for ferrite beads, and I plugged them in all over the place up here. That's the internet connection, and put in copper shielding here, which goes to a true RF ground. You can't see it, but there it is. There's one down here and another one behind the printer, which is separate from the house ground. So here's another view of the RF ground, and each piece of equipment has its own connection to the RF ground. So here's the other end of the RF ground cable coming out from under the house, and there was just enough to bring it around to the bonding to this separate 8-foot copper rod, which I've had for a long time now, for about 78 years, I think. 7 years. And there's the polyphaser lightning arrestor right there. And this is a switching circuit for turning it on and off when we have storms out here. But here's a close-up of that bonding. And then that heavy gauge wire, I think it's 6 gauge, connects this 8-foot copper rod to the house electrical ground, and its copper rod, according to the National Electrical Code, which is a requirement, and that obviously will prevent surges from differential in ground between the two rods. It's supposed to be 6 feet apart. Well, we're 5.5 feet, but that's close enough. So this is the installation outside. Now my antenna is an inverted L, and there's another 8-foot rod right here for the ground to that, and that still has to be connected underground with sort of like a oofer ground. And then this is a 9-to-1 balun for an unbalanced antenna load, which is fine for shortwave antennas. This is just a convenience antenna which is not connected to anything right now when I'm outside. There's 100 feet. This goes up 20 feet, and then it's 100 feet in the southwest to northeast direction. For my antenna, I have an azimuthal map, which is centered on the where we are in Piedmont, North Carolina, and to the right, I don't have the ability to overlay it, okay, is oriented to north, is the antenna sensitivity pattern, if you wanted to call it that, which shows that it's pretty much omnidirectional with strength towards China and India and Southeast Asia, a little weak towards Australia and South Africa. But other than that, it's a very good antenna, very good performing antenna. So with the addition of this speaker up in the left-hand corner for the Hallicrafters SX-100 to go along with the other Hallicrafters enclosure, that one actually has a Jensen speaker in it. And the one on the right is a cheap Chinese knockoff amplifier speaker, but they do pretty good results, and that completes the redesign of the shack. And my thanks to Jim at Whiskey 6 Lima Golf, who inspired me to go in and get these RF grounds installed, and the performance is very good. And now, with that, we'll be having a Hallicrafters Radio Worldwide Extravaganza. Live YouTube video will be coming February 21st and 22nd at various times during the day. It won't be continuous. It'll be like a schedule where we start out at in the late evening on Friday evening for an hour and a half or so, and then early morning Saturday morning 0600 Eastern Standard Time we'll catch the early morning DX during sunup, and then a couple other times during the day. The schedule will be published, and so I hope to see all of you in a live YouTube video. This is Hallicrafters Rehabs. Thanks for watching, and thanks for the new subscribers.